There's so much talk on the internet about Britain being the poodle of America and also being un- unstintingly supportive of Israel's policy that it comes as perhaps a surprise that David Cameron has suggested that Britain would recognize a Palestinian state as part of the process to negotiate peace in Israel over the Gaza Strip war. And John Bolton, one of the former US national security advisors, has said that David Cameron has put a knife in Israel's back. He says there's no way to treat an ally at a time when Israel was being menaced by Iran and responding to an attack, which he said was comparable to 9/11. But the point is, Israel has responded badly to that attack and has responded with ill grace and with defiance. So basically, Israel or Netanyahu has said, support me or I don't give a damn. He's given there's been no debate about what Netanyahu does. Netanyahu expects to be supported without any question, unquestioningly supported. Well, I'm pleased that we are not poodles to Netanyahu's bark, and I equally think it's important that we don't reward Hamas's atrocities of October the 7th. But Lord Cameron's statement that recognition of Palestine could be part of the process of peace is long overdue, and whether Bolton doesn't like it, Bolton was a national security advisor under Trump. He was the U.S. ambassador to the UN under George W. Bush, and he has said that conferring recognition without waiting for the conclusion of talks between Israel and the Palestinians would be ill-judged. But simply to talk about it, of course, means that David Cameron has pretty well confirmed that's what we're going to do. It's going to be very difficult to wriggle out of this position now, and I think that's good. I think he's put his mouth where his money is, and Bolton says this is dangerous ground for the unwary, including both Cameron and the credulous Biden administration, which is also musing about recognizing a non-existent state. But it is the right thing to do, and it should have been done years ago. This is the way forward. And the problem is that for, nearly a good 2 decades, the far-right Israeli governments, the succession of far-right Israeli governments, has played around with the expectations of a peaceful solution by taking advantage of the international community's reluctance to recognize the state of Palestine until the two-state solution is viable. I think it's certainly possible to recognize the state of Palestine in exactly the same way as it was perfectly possible to recognize the state of Israel before it was a formal reality. And I think Israel has to think back to 1948 and to how it relied for its existence, how it relies today for its existence on a UN definition, a UN recognition of something that was by no means certain. That anticipation is the right thing to do, and is something that is overdue. And to talk about this being Cameron's frolic, to talk about this not being the most conducive to a peace process, no, this is a way forward, and this is not a reward to Hamas. Hamas, I think Lord Cameron would absolutely agree, should be eradicated, or certainly should not be in power. We cannot, as a world community, reward terrorism. But in the same way, we have to recognize the state of Israel was built on terrorist activity as well, and one of those terrorists became Prime Minister, Menachem Begin. We have to recognize that the modern Sinn Féin was linked to terrorism. There is a way forward for terrorists to move into politics, but they must renounce the terror. And if Hamas were to renounce terror and were to accept the two-state solution, and therefore accept the state of Israel as well as the state of Palestine, that would be a way forward for peace. Cameron is right.